Hello and welcome to the weekend message. Now, firstly, sorry that it's so late, that it's coming at this stage. My circumstances meant I was doing a lot of unexpected running around, or maybe it was bad planning on my part. But here we are. I think you can tell I'm not in East Galway, because East Galway is well away from the coast. In fact, I'm not even in Galway at all, so this is not an Atlantic coast you're looking at. It's actually the Irish Sea. So somewhere behind me is, I don't know what's behind me, Wales or somewhere. I just find myself here in at Ballymoney Beach. I'm kind of watching some waves that they don't suddenly soak me, near Gorey in North Wexford. And the reason I just think it's appropriate, based on our reading today. Now here, I'll tell you what, I'll put the waves in the background. Although you can see quicker if they're going to soak me than I can. But the reason I'm here is just to reflect on the reading from 1 Corinthians chapter 3. So if you haven't already read it, please do. I should have had it right in front of me at the start of this recording, so that we would just think about it. But within that reading we see that Paul is writing to this church in Corinth, in what we know as southern Greece, and within it he is recognising that he had a part to play in its founding, development. Apollos had a part to play in its development, and others did as well. So just have a read of the detail of that. But at the end of the day, he is saying that it's Jesus' church. It's not Paul's church. It's not Apollos' church. It's not anybody else's church. It's Jesus' church, and it belongs to God, and God orientates what happens in it. It is to be centered on the life of God within the believers, and it is and open to what God is doing in the world, but it is to be centered on Jesus, his life and ministry and death and resurrection. And it's always important to note that we are only servants, we are tools in God's hands in his time and place. I suppose I say that, and maybe can say that a bit better here, because this is the place where I was for 5 years. I was ministering in Gorey Methodist Church, and it was a wonderful time here. But it was just for a time. It was 2011 to 2016. That was my time and place in this area, and the time came for me to move on and let somebody else be the minister. And the church here has been blessed with Cheryl and Catherine and since. But not just ministers, but other members, just people who have served at a time. And even yesterday, I shared in fellowship with the church here, and it was lovely to see so many people. But I also thought of people who were there during my time, who are no longer on these shores, but have gone to a better, more beautiful shore. But they've had their time and place. They've worked the ground in their time and place and with their gifts, and so time moves on as well. So we all have our time and place. We all have our gifts to use in the settings and opportunities that we have, and with the types of gifts that we have, the types of personalities that we are, the types of people that God has blessed us to be. So use them. Use the opportunities that we have. Use the times that we have. And seize them now. Seize the ideas and seize the things that God has got for us now. But live with the humility. Live with the humility that it is for our time and place, and that it's God's work at the end of the day. And live with an appreciation of that, because God is the worker and God is the powerful one. I suppose I'm just mesmerised standing here. I don't get to be beside the waves much these days. And so I've just been standing here and enjoying this and reflecting how this is just the power of the sea. And then if I went to the Galway coast, it would be the power of the ocean. But even all that, it is as nothing to the power of God. This is all under God's greatness and glory. So be open to God's power. It is God who is at work, far greater than our limited time and abilities and gifts. And God will water the seed that is planted. So trust God. And yet somehow, with all of God's power, He uses us. He decides to work through miserable people like us, with all the stupidity that we get up to, or with all the carelessness that we can be subject to, or to the weakness that we might feel in our lives. Yet God uses us. So if God decides to use crazy people like us, or people that doubt ourselves or feel inadequate or whatever, well, if God decides to use us, well, let's get on with letting God use us as well. So be blessed and enjoy your week.